Here it is. So this is kind of what I was talking about yesterday in terms of being early in Bitcoin and how many people who are not here anymore today. So let's listen to this, and then we'll go to the next clip here. I'll put up the speed a little bit here.
So it is on a risk-adjusted basis. I think Bitcoin is a much better investment now than it was then. Back then, it was a hope and a prayer.
Yeah.
There was no way to, legitimately envision that Bitcoin would take the path that it's taken, clear the hurdles that it's cleared, and be in the position that it is now. This was just I really like this thing. I like what it stands for. I like the way the internet's being used. I want to be a part of this. I want to be involved, profit off it, whatever. And so it went up, it went down. I was up 100%, down 80%, whatever it was. And I just said, you know what? I've invested too much money here, and this is too volatile for me. And I sold all my Bitcoin in 2014. So I don't have
whereabouts. What were you selling near the top? Or
when I look back and I got the data to get Fractal to do the node sculpture, all the transactions were there.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get myself to look at it. So I don't know what price I sold at.
So many people have been through similar journeys as this. Or they either sold all their Bitcoin or got liquidated, or they're trying to get back to the amount of Bitcoin they once had.
I still do not have the amount of Bitcoin that I had then, but I am getting close.
That's good.
Getting close.
Good news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it started. And then I just stayed close to it for a long time because I was interested. And then when things started to pick back up again, I was the one that buddies were calling saying, hey, you were into this stuff, what's going on? And then kind of like reignited.
So you were orange pilled yourself.
Yeah.
At a conference, basically.
Correct.
And then you un-orange pilled yourself.
No, I wouldn't say I un-orange pilled myself.
Okay.
I got away. I was still passionate about it. I still believed in it, liked it, not believed it in an investment sense, believed that the internet could be used for something to transmit value. And this was something that was going to happen, was necessary, and was a good and big thing. But the investment case for it at the time on a risk reward basis didn't make sense to me anymore.
Right.
So right now, given the price of Bitcoin at, wherever we are today, 60,000-ish, right? Today, on a risk adjusted basis, I think Bitcoin is an infinitely better investment than it was at $600 in 2013.
Because its chances of success are much higher. The risk is much lower, basically.
Correct.
Yeah. So you were still bought in philosophically.
Yeah.
Even as you're selling your Bitcoin. Then at what point do you start kicking yourself and start buying Bitcoin again? Sorry, I'm assuming you were kicking yourself, but
I wasn't kicking myself. I was working, right? And I had other businesses, and focused on making my businesses successful and earning fiat, and being successful in business requires focus, right? So I was pretty focused. 2016-ish kind of time frame, when this stuff started coming back strong and the whole crypto world started coming back strong, that's when I kind of got back into it.
Gotcha.
And have been stacking since then. So, sub 10,000 is where I've been stacking. I don't have any idea what my average cost is at this point.
Yeah.
I've bought, sub 10,000 Bitcoin, and I bought, more than, I bought over 69,000.
Yeah.
So I no longer think I have any ability to time it.
Yeah.
I just try to buy it when I have the money to buy it.
Just dollar cost average forever, basically.
I don't even think about it in those terms, but I guess it is. I just think about it in terms of what's my stack, and is my stack more or less than it was,
Gotcha.
If I've got 5 Bitcoin, and at the end of the year I got 5.5 Bitcoin,
you're up 10%.
I'm up 10%.
Yeah. Got it. So you're already thinking in Bitcoin terms.
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we live in a fiat world still, so I think in fiat terms as well. I'm not like a lunatic about it, but I think of my Bitcoin stack in Bitcoin terms.
So when did it, so you're orange pilled, but when did you start to get the philosophical implications of Bitcoin, or the larger geopolitical implications, if you want to look at it that way? When did that start to really hit you?
I don't know that I ever thought about that before. So coming out of a career in finance, traditional finance, my focus was from an investment point of view. And then I orange pilled Sailor, right? And that process took me down a lot of rabbit holes that I hadn't taken myself down. as you know better than anyone at this point, after what, 20 some odd hours, right? The man asked some questions.
Mhm.
And so he quickly, over the course of a few weeks, ran down every Bitcoin path there was to find out that I just didn't have any more information on that topic.
Was this 2020
Yeah,
that it started? Okay.
2020.
So after
It was during COVID.
Okay.
We were spending a lot of time hanging out at his.
Okay, we're gonna pause it there for a sec, but the kind of the main thing I wanted to get from that is just exactly what we were talking about yesterday, in terms of thinking you're late to Bitcoin and understanding that right now, as Eric said there, right now is a much better bet on Bitcoin than it was back then. Because if you think about how much the network existed then, how like not only the Wall Streets, not only the countries buying Bitcoin, but like there was no network of people there in Bitcoin. People were unsure if it was going to work. As he said there, he bought it as purely as an investment. He had no conviction over it. He had no idea what this was going to turn into. And he said that the people who are here today, it's actually a much better investment to buy today versus then. So don't ever have any regrets in terms of Bitcoin. Understand that you're in the best place possible right now. But the second part there that I wanted to touch on was him talking in Bitcoin terms. He said that my whole goal is on, December 31st or January 1st, whatever it is, a year later, do I have more or less Bitcoin than I had then? And if you have more, then you're doing better than you were. It doesn't matter what the price is. And I think that that's something that we all should strive to. And as you said there, we don't have to get crazy about it. You don't have to start measuring things in Bitcoin. You don't have to start in your head mentally calculating how many sats this is worth now versus how much you think it's going to be worth in 20 years. Just have more Bitcoin than you had last year. If that's your situation, if that's what you have done, then you're doing well. That's it. Doesn't matter what the net worth, the fiat price is, anything like that. Just December 31st, if you had more Bitcoin than you had on January 1st of that same year, then you're doing good. And I think that we all need to be thinking like that. Not in terms of what it's worth or anything like that, but just the fact that we have more Bitcoin.